switch, right? We invented switching, we can invent quality of service, we can invent VLANs, we can invent all these things that prioritize voice traffic. Well, now, we don't need that station shelf anymore. We'll just hang our PC right off the back or our laptop, so single wire. Well, my router or my gateway already connects to the WAN. Do you think it would be possible to allow it to connect to the PSTN? Well, sure. We just need to make a different card, right? Different card that sits inside of a router. So now, we don't need this. And as far as a CPU, we need some sort of voice processor. Well, why don't we put it over here where the rest of my server farms are? I've got all my other servers, as Trevor showed earlier, and my servers connect to what? My storage. Well, I'm going to stick it in a server. Now I have absolutely no need for a PBX. And this video equipment, well, we can put that on the network anyway and apply the same concept of video over Ethernet as we did as voice over Ethernet. So now I can manage a single, robust network on one platform with one vendor, with one manufacturer, through one vendor, one throat to choke, one hand to shake, whatever you want to use, right? I can minimize the amount of support numbers, minimize the amount of operating systems needed, minimize the amount of things that go wrong, and easily scale this. So this is voice and video over telephony. But today, you're dealing with a lot of other issues, right? It's January. How many of us got iPads or smartphones or tablets for Christmas, right? So now all of a sudden you've got these tablets floating around your environment. Well, everybody wants to connect them. So how are you going to connect those? Wirelessly. Well, did you know we happen to make a wireless access point too? That gives off wireless signal, so we can help you with that tablet. But my question is, if you're going to allow someone to come onto your network with a device that's not theirs, how are you going to secure it? Use a firewall. Where does that firewall go? It probably goes right in here, right in between the router and the switch. That firewall allows us to put a client on there called AnyConnect. It's an SSL client that ties it back into the network and secures it so we can control and limit the access that that tablet has in our network. So now we've got wireless, we've got security, we've got the ability to bring new devices onto the network, we've got your traditional clients, we've got your telephony, we've got your video, we're connecting to the WAN, to the PSTN, and we're back here talking about the server that we put in place that can control all of these different things, and that server is going to talk to your SAN. Step out of role model, role play here for a second. 4 or 5. I mean, there's like 8 boxes on there, guys. 8. Right? We haven't done anything crazy yet. We put in some interesting little shapes, not drawn particularly well, which is why I'm in sales and not an artist. Right? And we've covered everything from bring your own device, to wireless, to security, to telephony, to video, to data, upgrades, to storage, and SAN, and hypervisors, and shit that I don't care about, right? This, from as far as I'm concerned, this over here is for you guys. EMC is a great partner, but EMC and I compete for the wallet share of that same customer. Any dollar they spend on the SAN is one less dollar they spend on a server, right? So don't get me wrong, I want them to win, and I want to win with them, but these are talking points for you guys. You are the ones that can wrap your services around this entire discussion, right? And bring together all the different pieces that AtNet has. And this is the story you need to be able to tell. And to be able to do so in a simplified manner and fashion without getting too deep to where you get caught and expose your credibility. So take this one step farther. This is corporate headquarters. What does this look like as you expand in your WAN? Well, what Cisco does that makes us unique, we put a router out here, same router that's over here, that connects to my WAN, that connects to my PSTN. We put a layer of software on this box called Survivable Remote Site Telephony. The This is our redundancy built in. Lo and behold, another switch, more phones, more PCs, and you're done. No different gateways, no crazy different devices, no other manufacturers. Every office now looks like this. Let's say this is Greenville, and this is Charlotte. You have a cost-effective cookie-cutter model to stamp out your communications across the entire world for all I care. Video, data, voice, everything will run off this. And if you want to get really fancy, we can start to put virtualized server modules into this box as well. We can deliver WAN acceleration, we can deliver firewall, we can deliver wireless. We can put ports right in here to give you extra voice boxes or voice phones. But you're probably looking at me and saying, well, what happens if I lose this connection? Right? How does he get back to there, where your call manager is? What happens if they can't call home?
SRST.
What does SRST do, Jason?
Sites are, what does it do? What does it stand
What does it
for?
do?
It allows your phone system to, at that remote location, to operate on a basic level until the WAN connections are restored.
So if this phone wants to call this phone, and there's no path through the WAN,
It goes out the PSTN automatically.
does anything have to happen? We have to
Yeah.
click a switch? Does a user have to dial a certain number? Do they have to know anything?
No.
Or does it just happen?
All the user will, the only way the user will know is if it says, it'll say something on their phone, CM connection down or something, I can't remember what the hell it says. We haven't, ever since we moved to the new carrier, our connection hasn't gone down in a while, whatever it says, but yeah, no.
Yeah. Very good.
The beauty of the router is, if you want to add a redundant WAN connection through an alternate internet, if you want to add a cellular connection, there's models for all of those sort of things, if you want to spend the extra money and if you find the extra piece, but it's all available.
Well, and the good pitch is you might not be able to spend the extra money now,
Absolutely.
but you can add to it a year, 18 months, 24 months down the road. You can build in that redundancy to where you have, you never have to go to SRST because you have, blade servers on either end or whatever.
Hopefully you see, we do the wire, we do the phones, we do the SAN. We can go to the remote sites, we can handle the support, and the reason why we pick companies like Cisco is because all of these things play together. If I have a problem with the router, I'll call Cisco. If I have a problem with the switch, I'll call Cisco. If I have a problem, what about everybody else? Well, they may have a great phone, but who's providing all the other pieces and parts?
Your story lays over the top of this really
Absolutely.
well. That other diagram that was here, the big bubble, to your point, you can pull cable, you can rack and stack data centers, you can add power, you can add servers, you can do the storage, you can project manage it, you can set it up so first line of support is your NOC, right?
The only thing we're missing there, and we can definitely partner up with that, is the WAN.
Agreed. So
Which
that's
which I find to be 90% of the problem in all these implementations, which is why I don't like to partner up with them. Because they never implement on time.
Yep.
And I said, but I'll always be willing to help and have that meeting with their chosen provider.
That's how you say so.
That's how you say it too, because like once you recommend someone, it's like you're putting your
Yeah.
stamp on their
Yep.
screw ups.
Yep. So guys, so let's leave this off. We'll come here in a second. From here over, right? We got a switch, an access point, a firewall, a phone, a router, and a video conferencing unit. Does anybody not know what those individual pieces do, or what some of those names are? So if I say 3750, where does that go?
Switch.
If I say 2900, where does that go?
Router.
If I say 5520, where does that go?
Firewall.
Okay. So, what part of this do we think is unlearnable? Pretty straightforward, right? Is this something we think in the next 2 weeks you guys would be comfortable delivering in front of the customer?
Definitely.
Yeah? Ted, don't look so excited there. Come on, man. What?
Well, that's Ted's happy face.
It is.
What do you think? What am I missing?
I think the only, oh, sorry. What I think is funny about that is, I think eventually, you're gonna even reduce the number of components, and telephones will go away, and TVs will go away, and it'll all just be.
Yeah, but you're living in the space age, bro.
Yeah, man,
You're like 20 years down the road.
Hopefully
you'll be retired.
Technology game by the time that's.
5 years.
Telephones going away in 5 years?
I don't think people will buy them as much anymore.
Crazy. What are they gonna buy?
They got it on their cell phones. I got my phone on my cell phone, my iPad, my.
It's still a phone though.
I'm just talking on that thing right there.
Talking about the physical phone.
Yeah.
There will be people until every baby boomer is dead or retired.
That have a
There will
phone.
be a handset on their desk.
Just get a.
And probably Generation X too. I like having a handset.
Yeah, if they're not buying telephones in 5 years.
Is the UCX blade?
Good, I'm glad you asked. That's why we're going here over, because that was the part that we identified was really tough.
Oh,
You know, like, right?
Because I'm seeing it where the server's sitting between the SAN and the switch. Is that?
Okay.
And
So-
before you do that, to answer your question, that makes perfect sense for me.
Okay. Okay, so, this is something I think David and Joel and you guys want to continue to work on and get more comfortable with. Because we're going pretty high level here, but this is high enough, again, to find opportunity with your customers and to be able, as Trevor said, to create the credibility to move a deal forward a certain amount before we start bringing the calibrate with the engineers.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to start bringing out Tamarios and all that crap until this is,
Yep.
you've gone through this and the customer shows some interest in
Yep,
it.
yep. Mike asked, where is UCS in this? A couple different ways to do that, and I'm still working on that. I think at the end of the day, because I'm somewhat paranoid about what our competition likes to say about us, there's a couple different ways to address this. But what we had represented was a single server, right? Let's do this. Single server. In reality, our solution takes a lot more than a single server, right? What UCS gives us the opportunity to do is to virtualize those servers and say I now have call manager, Unity connection, presence, mobility, and contact center as VMs running on the same physical server. And I can replicate that physical server here, here, or in your co-location facility, which you guys are talking about. Right? And as long as I have data connectivity, I can put that box anywhere. And now condense 4, 5, 6 boxes times 2 into 2 singular boxes. And that is probably the easiest way to describe UCS in this environment, is to come back to the fact that Michael said it's a purpose-built box for virtualization, specifically one for your real-time voice and video applications. So Cisco is going to give you that hardware. It is not rebranded HP, Dell, VM. It's a singular platform that works with all of our stuff that's supported end-to-end that sits in your data center, next to the rest of your server farm and in your data center strategy. Great segue then to then have a completely different discussion on their data center. While we're talking about this, what does your data center look like? What are your centralized storage plans? What hypervisor have you chosen? Oh, are you guys doing VDI? You are doing VDI. So where would VDI sit in here? I guess it would kind of be like a little thin client kind of right there, right? Why? Samsung, HP. What if that was a Cisco VDI endpoint, and we could now pipe your voice and video right through that? And it was a Power Ethernet connection. You can actually power the device, your keyboard, your mouse, and your screen from that same switch. Is that something you guys want to talk a little more about? And we can do it on the same infrastructure here that's capable of supporting 300 to 400 VDI sessions on a single blade.